Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to replace a chain kit on a motocross bike, and in this case it's a YZ250F 2024 Yamaha, and it's going to be the same for almost any bike. So there's a few little do's and don'ts and a few little tips that can make it easier. So let's have a look at that. And this chain uses a clip-on locking link or whatever it's called instead of the riveting link. So that's nice. I really like that. So, and the reason I changed the chain kit, by the way, is because I want a 52 rear sprocket, so it's a 13:52 ratio, because the original standard 50 teeth rear sprocket, it actually makes it bog down on race starts. If it's really good traction starting in the second gear, I can't make it wheelie if I sit on the gas tank. You know, if I sit here for the race start all the way up front and I slam to full throttle and I feed the clutch over here, it just won't wheelie, and it should be able to lift the front wheel on a race start when there's perfect traction. So it doesn't have enough torque to do that at the moment with the current gearing, so that's the reason I'm changing it, so I can get a perfect race start for racing. Okay, so let's get started. And by the way, I actually did manage to get the whole shot at the FIM Asia Motocross Championship of round 1 in the Veterans A class with this sprocket. This is the original stock 50T sprocket, but that was just right on the limit of what's possible to push out of this sprocket. It would be easier to get a good drive out of the gate with the new sprocket. The only question is if it's gonna fit the track that I'm riding usually. So we'll figure that out later, if it's gonna work well with the jumps and gear selection and all that stuff. But we're gonna have to figure that out later. Maybe a 51 is the happy medium, but again, we'll have to test it on the track to know for sure. So the first thing we're gonna do is to loosen up the front sprocket nut, and of course we have to remove the sprocket cover to do that. And the way I do this is by jamming big spanner or something into the rear sprocket, so it holds the chain locked up, and then of course it has to be jammed the right way. I'll show you how to do that, and that way you can easily loosen up the torque instead of using the rear brake on the other side, because then you kind of need to be 2 people to do it, and that's the most normal way I see people talk about online. To do it is by using the rear brake. But let's do it the easier way for when you're only 1 person. Okay, so now I jammed this spanner in between here. So it's mainly pushing on the sprocket right here. It also touches on one of the spokes, but the main force is going into the sprocket edge right here. So that's what's stopping it, okay? So you're not putting any stress on the spokes. And then we'll just remove the cover here. There we go, we'll just put that down here for later. So like that. Ranger, can you tell me the torque specifications for the front sprocket nut? Nope, that's gonna be a nope. And before we can open the nut, we need to bend open this foldable washer here, or whatever it's called, with a screwdriver and a hammer. So we'll do that, and then after that we need a 24 mil socket and a wrench to open it up. So let's do that. So I like to start with the small screwdriver first, just something that can get in there like that. Then it's open already like 1 millimeter, and then a slightly larger screwdriver. Then you can start to pry it a bit like that, and then finally use a big fat screwdriver, and then you can hammer it like this. And you can turn the screwdriver for the final amount. There's also one up here, look. It's already halfway open. So like this, now it's completely opened up with the washer. And now let's zoom out a bit here. And then we can get our torque wrench on there. So we're just loading up the... So now you can see when I'm turning here, it adds tension to the chain here. You can see the chain moving, and it's locking up on the rear sprocket right there. So now I'm just gonna add some force until it breaks loose. Actually, I have to do it from down here so I don't push into the shroud. Okay, done. I think I also put it into gear, by the way. Yeah. And now you can see, now I can open it up. But we're just gonna leave it on loosely like this here. And then we'll take it off later. Now we can take off the chain. Okay, and the next thing we can do is we can remove this. We can remove this one again now, and then take off the chain. So I'll just take this one out. And then later, by the way, when we have to torque the front sprocket, we have to jam it from underneath, because it's gonna be turning the other way around, okay? Remember that. I think the easiest way to take off this locking link is to align it, just roll it back so it's located on the rear sprocket, then it's fixed into something solid so it doesn't move around too much, and then you can just give it a tap like that, done. And then you can push off the link like that, and then you can just take off your chain. Easy peasy. And then I'll keep this for later. It's always good to have a backup chain because it's actually still fully functional, but it's probably not the correct length for the new set because it's a larger sprocket. And also, you know, it's good to change it in a kit, like change all sprockets and the chain together because they're worn out at the same rate, so they mesh well together when you change it as one set. Okay, so now we might as well change the front sprocket. We don't have to torque it yet, but we can put it on. Let's just put the nut down there and the washer like that. And then let's see how it turns. So it has two ways. So it comes off with the flat side out, okay? That's actually a bit funny because it has the numbers on the inside. So numbers turned inwards like this. And you can also just test that it moves freely. Yeah, that's good. And then we got this one like that. And I'm just actually gonna lubricate the threads just a second. Just gonna spray a bit of oil on this thread here. Yeah. Like this. So that prevents it from seizing up next time. So just hand tight like this, and then we're gonna torque it up afterwards. That's gonna be the last thing we do, torque it up and then fold these locking, and then fold this locking washer back on here. That's the last thing we're gonna do. Now let's take off the rear wheel and change the rear sprocket. The rear wheel off here. Just give it a few taps here. And actually, before you take it off, you can just lay on the new sprocket on top just to check and make sure it actually fits correctly with all the holes and the inner diameter and everything, but it looks correct in this case. Okay, so now let's loosen up all the sprocket nuts here. And I think we just need a 12 spanner, yeah, like this. And then what I do is I just grab another spanner like this to get extra leverage, and then you can break loose the torque pretty easy. And you don't even need to put Allen in there yet. We'll do that later. I'll just break them loose, all of them. Take out all the bolts. That's an 8mm Allen, by the way. and then we hold the 12mm spanner underneath. And the quickest way is just to spin the Allen instead of spinning the nut on the other side, you know. Just put this here. Okay, and then that was the last one. Then we can take this off. And wow, it's actually really light. It feels like aluminum. I thought it was steel, but it feels like aluminum, the stock one. That's funny. Then we'll put on the new one, just like that. And then it's just the same thing in the reverse. We just put in all the bolts. And then just one by one put the washer first. And then see if you can get the nut under. And then it's easier to spin the top part here than to spin the nut. Same thing, just in reverse. Let's first put all the nuts on and tighten it up snug, and then torque it down by hand afterwards, okay? Okay, and then I'll just go over them one by one, torque them up. So hold the Allen on here, just tuck it up with this, and then put on another spanner to get more leverage, and then give it another, well, that's actually just another inch, like mesh looking at here, just that's about 1 inch each. That should do the job. So this is just done by feel. Okay, I've done enough of these nuts in my life, so I know what it feels like to get it up to about those 27 Newton meters. Maybe I'll give it 30 or something like that. That's it. We just do that to all of them. Okay, done torquing it up. And then little bonus tip. You can also flip your tire around, because the acceleration edge of the tire is getting more rounded than the braking edge, as you can see. And I'm even starting to have some crack development in this tire. This is an IRC, by the way. So I'm going to flip it around so the knobs don't start to fall off or get too rounded on one side. But I'm not going to show you that in this video. That takes too long. Okay, so now we can put the back wheel on again, and then put the chain on, and then torque down the front sprocket, and then we're done. Maybe we also have to adjust the length of the chain, which of course I'm going to show you. And usually it's pretty important to get the chain length adjusted correctly. We're just going to put this nut on here loosely because we have to adjust the axle position for the new chain length. So now let's put the new chain on. Okay, so here's the new chain. And before I put it on, I like to just wipe all the excess grease off. There's a lot of lubrication on it. So I just grab an old sock like this, and then I just pull it through like this. So just wipe off all the excess like this. Otherwise it's gonna make your bike so dirty. Like it's just gonna splash all the excess around your bike everywhere. Okay, there we go. Another way you can get off a bit more is if you spray some WD-40 or similar compound like this, and then you can wipe off some more. And then we can put it on just like this. I think this chain has two different sides. Yeah, there's markings and information on one side, so we'll let that point outwards. Not that it's really important, but it's just nice in case you need to read on it. Okay, so we can see the chain definitely needs to be shortened. Now the question is how much? Usually the pro riders, they try to adjust the axle position a bit further back because it gives it a lot more stability on high speed. However, the bike corners better if it's the axle position is further forward. But I do like the high speed stability, so I'm gonna choose a position that's further back. And I think this actually is gonna fit. This is almost in spec, so we're just gonna, oh, oopsie doopsie, like this. Okay, so we have to cut off this link right here. That's basically two link segments that we're gonna cut off. So I'm gonna mark up this, just gonna double check the looseness fits here. So this is almost correct adjustment, and it's in the center position. So it's gonna be towards the back. Right now it's almost at the center position of adjustability. And then when we adjust it, it's gonna be a few millimeters further back. So this is a really nice scenario. So I'll just rotate this upwards so it's stable. Maybe here it can stay. And I'll get the marker marked up. So we're gonna cut this off right there. Just actually mark the whole link. So we're sure we're gonna cut it the right place. And again, I'm just gonna double check. Is all in the correct position? Yeah, that looks good. It's better to measure twice and cut once. Okay, so the way I do it is I use an angle grinder with the grinding disc. It's not like the disc for cutting, it's for grinding like this. That's the best. You could also use a cutting disc if you don't have anything else, but this is easier. And then what I do is I just remove the bottom part of the chain. And of course I'm wearing glasses and earplugs for this. And then I just position it like this here. Maybe I'll put my foot here or here. And then I'll get started. So done. So now you can see I've just grinded it until it's flat, and then I can pry it off with a couple of screwdrivers, which I'm gonna do now. We can just rotate it a bit like this to a high position, and then we can knock on it with a screwdriver. So again, I use a small screwdriver first, followed by a medium-sized screwdriver. This should be able to pry it off. With the small one, just knock it in between here. So now after knocking a bit, you can see it's already starting to come loose on the, actually on both sides you can see there's a little bit of a shadow there with the small one. So let's just give it a few more knocks. Okay, and then, so it got all the way through here. Look here. And we can just wiggle it a little bit and that should make it fall off. There we go. Then we can push out the old link and take that off. And I already sprayed it with some chain lube. Okay, so now we can put a new one through here. And this one doesn't have any special side, so it'll fit on either way. And now the important part, this one is facing backwards in the rotating direction. That way it cannot be unclipped by itself by rotating when you're riding. If you turn it the wrong way like this edge could potentially hit something like the chain guide or something, and then it could unclip by itself, and then your chain would fall off. So it's really actually important that this one is turning the right way, like this. So you can either hammer it on with a screwdriver like this, which we're gonna try here, with one hit like that, or you can use a set of pliers to push it on. So now we've got the new chain on, and now we just need to adjust it a bit. So you see it's a tiny bit loose here. It needs to be adjusted down a bit, you know, the 3-finger rule. And then I'll just set it to exactly 50 millimeters of slack between here. So let's do that. And then lastly, we will torque up this one and look in the manual what's the exact torque. Okay, so I have a chain adjustment tip here. So I have two wood pieces here. One is 50 millimeter, this one, and one is 60. So this is the adjustment range of a typical dirt bike and a Yamaha. So I'll set it to 50 millimeters, but in your daily life before you ride, you can always just quickly check it by inserting this one. If this one cannot be inserted like this, then it's too tight, the chain, and you need to loosen it up. And if this one can be inserted easily, this is the 60 mil. If this one can be inserted easily with some slack like now, then it's too loose and you need to tighten it up. So that's a good little tip. You can make it for free with a couple of pieces of wood. So now we're just going to insert the 50 mil like this, and then we're going to tighten up the adjustment bolts here until it fits on both sides. Okay, so now I adjusted it here. I double check it's 50 mil like this. Maybe it's 51 now, that's pretty good. And then down here, instead of using these lines here for adjustment, it's actually quicker and much more accurate if you use a caliper like this. Just measure the distance here, and then you tighten this one up, you lock it in that position. Just check again, yep, correct. And then you fine tune it on the other side, like this. So this is the other side, right? So then you just check here. Wow, it's actually almost perfect. Just a little bit more out. Yep, that's it. So now that's all set. And we'll just tighten this up a bit. And now we will double check the adjustment over here again. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so now we can tighten up this here, and also tighten up the axle nut on the other side. Something like that. So the torque for the rear axle nut is actually 135 Newton meters. That is a lot actually for a dirt bike. And my torque range only goes to 110 Newton meters. So I just give it up until like 110, and then I give it a little bit more, like after that. And then when you torque up the axle nut, you know, you need to jam something in on this side over here. Just a spanner or something, because that's gonna force these blocks, the axle blocks, towards the adjustment screw and keep it all tight and snug. So it's actually the correct position the axle is torqued into. Like that. And that should do the job. Okay, I found the torque spec for the drive sprocket, which is like the front sprocket. And it's 75 Newton meters, okay? So we're gonna torque that up now. And before we do that, of course, we're gonna put the spanner underneath here to jam. So it's jamming like that, okay? So it's the sprocket that's jamming against it, not the spokes, okay? And also over here, right? Okay, done. Okay, that's it. And then we have to fold the locking washer. Let's just take out the spanner from the rear wheel sprocket before we forget. So look, now I'm just knocking with a hammer, getting underneath this. I'll change to a bigger screwdriver, and now it's really folding here. And you can start to turn the screwdriver a bit like this, so you can really fold it like this. Okay, that's enough for that one. Let's see where the other one is. It's up here. Okay, let's swap to the medium-sized screwdriver just to get it started. Okay, that's enough. It doesn't have to, they don't have to be folded completely, because I'm reusing mine. You know, you're supposed to put a new one on, but you can reuse them, I think, at least once, maybe twice. But if you fold them completely, they lose strength. But if you just fold them like most of the way, like this, they'll still be strong. Okay, and now we just have to put on the sprocket cover, and then we're actually done. So let's do that. I think this one goes on like that. And then this one. Probably 7 Newton meters is enough for these ones. I wouldn't do 10. Yeah, like that. Okay, so now we're done. And it looks good. Look, let's watch it from here. And just check it's spinning nice and freely, nothing sounding weird. Or the chain moves freely, and then you can just double check here, 3 fingers. Yep, okay. What I recommend you to do is, before you take the bike on the track, I recommend you to take it for a little ride just around your house or whatever. Just take it for a 5-minute ride. Because sometimes when you break in the chain and take it for its first ride, it might need a readjustment. So you can do that from home, you know, just a 5-10 minute ride. Warm up the bike, give it a bit of heavy throttle after it's warmed up, and then go back and then check the chain adjustment and readjust it if necessary. So that's my tips for how to change the chain kit. To watch the full version of my advanced riding videos and support the development of this channel, click the join button below and become a member. And thereby you will get access to exclusive videos where I go through the most advanced skill levels and also explaining things from a physics standpoint, because I have a background in science and thereby studying physics, so I'm able to explain actual riding technique and the mechanics of riding, also bike setup, in a way that you don't see on many other channels. Also, I share my own step-by-step methods on how I track my own progress and riding technique development. So if you're interested in that, consider becoming a member and clicking the join button. And if you like tropical island holidays, visit fitcamp5.com for my 2-time TripAdvisor award-winning training camp, where we train fitness and action sports together while learning to live a healthy lifestyle and, maybe most importantly, have fun at the same time.
ที่ 1 นะฮะโทบิสจานนะครับเต็มปากนะครับบอกไปด้วยนะครับ
And if you're really serious about improving yourself, you should definitely check out my full online courses, where I share step-by-step programs on how I developed my own routines over the last 12 years as a CEO working in 4 different countries, while being a successful competitive athlete with more than 20 years of experience in fitness and nutrition. Check the link in the description for that. And in any case, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, be awesome, believe in yourself, and see you on the next one.